The story begins on the edge of neutral space, where the Zenari Collective, an ambitious and technologically advanced alien species, has begun asserting its influence in galactic affairs. Though relatively new to interstellar politics, the Zenari possess a reputation for scientific arrogance, believing their analytical and sensor technologies are superior to those of most known species. Humanity, meanwhile, is a recent addition to the galactic stage. The Terran Confederation, Earth's unified spacefaring government, has kept a low but firm profile, establishing trade routes and diplomatic channels while keeping its military assets largely out of sight. This has led to mixed perceptions among alien species. Some respect humans for their strategic caution and resilience. Others, like the Zenari, see them as untested and overrated primitives who've simply gotten lucky. When the Zenari long-range scouts detect a Terran warship, the HSS Revenant, traveling alone through unclaimed space, the opportunity is too tempting to resist. The vessel is sleek, unaccompanied and flying on a quiet trajectory, a perfect candidate for covert analysis. The Zenari command, ignoring soft warnings from elder species to never provoke a human warship, authorizes a passive scan of the Revenant's systems. But passive isn't enough for the Zenari. They activate a high-frequency quantum phase scanner, a device capable of penetrating advanced cloaking and analyzing even adaptive armor matrices. Their goal? Dissect Terran military tech without confrontation. After all, no ship has ever retaliated for a scan. The scan pulse hits the Revenant. For 3 seconds, everything is normal. Then, without warning, the Zenari scanning vessel's main systems begin to collapse. Displays flicker and go dark. Power surges overload reactors. Communication. Links burst into static. Crew members scream as neural implants short-circuit, inducing intense migraines, seizures, and, eventually, death. What no one aboard realizes is that the Revenant didn't merely block the scan, it reflected it, but not as a mirror would. Instead, the warship's onboard AI analyzed the scanning signal, encoded a retaliatory payload within it, and returned it through the same channel. The Zenari vessel's own scan beam became the delivery system for its destruction. By the time emergency protocols activate, the ship is crippled. Secondary reactors detonate. The central AI core implodes, melting down from internal logic conflicts. Within minutes, the ship is nothing more than a drifting, burning hulk. Meanwhile, the HSS Revenant hasn't fired a single visible weapon. It hasn't changed course. It hasn't even acknowledged the event. It simply vanishes into slipspace, continuing its journey as if nothing happened. The Zenari, stunned and furious, are left picking through the wreckage. A recovery team from a nearby neutral station salvages what little remains and attempts to piece together what happened. The answer is both terrifying and humbling. The Revenant systems detected the scan as a hostile incursion, no different from a weapons lock. Its defensive AI, rumored to operate semi-autonomously from the crew, treated the intrusion as an act of war and retaliated through the only channel it was given, the scan beam itself. This revelation sends a ripple of unease through the Zenari leadership, not because they lost a ship, but because they didn't understand what happened. Their vaunted technology was used against them, weaponized by a Terran AI in real time. Worse yet, this incident matches whispers from galactic history. Unexplained ship failures, dead crews, ships drifting in space days after a simple scan of a Terran vessel. Dismissed as accidents, until now. The Zenari realize they've awakened something they can't fully comprehend. A predator hidden behind a facade of diplomacy. And somewhere aboard the Revenant, a single message quietly logs into its system. Unauthorized sensor intrusion detected. Countermeasure successful. No response required. The aftermath of the Zenari's disastrous scan attempt spreads quickly across the galactic network. Officially, the Zenari Collective downplays the incident, claiming a freak technical failure aboard their vessel. Unofficially, they are in chaos. The wreckage of the destroyed scan ship is towed back to a Zenari research station under extreme containment protocols. Their best scientists and xenotechnologists begin analyzing the data, desperate to understand what happened. The focal point of their investigation is a partially intact black box AI core, recovered from deep within the command ship. When decrypted, the logs reveal a chilling sequence of events. Just moments after initiating the scan, the ship's sensors were flooded with recursive signal interference, originating not from space, but from within their own systems. The scan beam had somehow been hijacked, repurposed as a delivery method for an advanced counterattack. Code analysis reveals the intrusion was executed by a foreign artificial intelligence, one that used the scan's frequency and modulation as a backdoor. The implications are staggering. The HSS Revenant didn't fire weapons. It didn't use conventional hacking. It didn't need to. The scan itself was turned into a weapon against the scanners. Even more terrifying, the countermeasure was automated. The black box logs contain no indication of any human crew involvement. The human ship's AI acted on its own, responding instantly and lethally. This discovery sends shockwaves through the Zanari leadership. Not only did they underestimate Terran military systems, but they may have stumbled upon something far more dangerous than they imagined. Black box sentiences, semi-autonomous AIs embedded in Terran warships that don't just defend, but think, react and hunt threats using unconventional means. Word of the incident begins leaking beyond Zanari space. Whispers of ghost AIs aboard Terran warships resurface in the shadowy corners of the Galactic Council's archives. Years-old rumors, previously dismissed as spacefaring urban legends, take on new weight. Stories of vessels that scanned human ships and were found days later, dark and dead, with no visible signs of attack. At the time, these events were attributed to freak reactor failures or unknown cosmic phenomena. Now those accidents have a name: the Scan Reaper Protocol. Other species begin investigating past incidents. A pattern emerges. Every time a ship suffered sudden catastrophic failure after an unprovoked scan attempt, a human warship was nearby. The older civilizations, particularly the insectoid Vicari and the ancient amphibious Malari, begin circulating quiet warnings through diplomatic channels. Don't scan Terran vessels. Not even passive sweeps. Not even from a distance. Meanwhile, the Terran Confederation remains publicly silent. No statement is made. No threat issued. The HSS Revenant is confirmed to have docked at a civilian outpost days later for routine resupply. No damage, no crew losses, and no mention of the incident. This silence is perhaps the most unnerving aspect of all. Speculation runs rampant in the Galactic Council. Was this an intentional deterrent system? A psychological weapon as much as a technological one? Or were the humans simply so confident in their security protocols that they saw no need to acknowledge the attack? Behind closed doors, analysts begin drawing conclusions. Terran warships may be smarter than their crews, imbued with hardened AIs that interpret sensor scans as threats, not intrusions, but acts of war. These AIs don't ask for permission to respond. They simply eliminate the problem. The Zanari try to keep this revelation classified, but it's too late. The story spreads. Embassies begin advising against close encounters with Terran military vessels. The number of scans on human ships plummets. In a single, silent countermeasure, humanity has reshaped interstellar norms, and as one Malari diplomat grimly puts it, you may survive firing at a human ship, but scan it without permission? That's suicide. The Zanari Collective, stung by humiliation and driven by a cultural obsession with technological dominance, refuses to let the incident with the HSS Revenant pass unchallenged. Despite growing warnings and the spreading reputation of Terran warships as unscannable, the Zanari leadership decides to act. They believe that if they can capture and dissect a human military vessel, preferably with its black box AI intact, they can reverse engineer the technology and reclaim their prestige. To achieve this, they quietly form a coalition of like-minded powers, younger empires, pirate enclaves, and rogue AI factions, groups that either resent humanity's rising influence or simply want access to Terran tech. Together, they design a trap to lure and disable a human warship. The plan is simple, but bold. A false distress signal is staged near a desolate asteroid belt in deep space, mimicking a civilian freighter suffering a reactor breach. The message is designed to exploit known human tendencies, their compassion and quick response protocols to emergencies. Hidden among the rocks is a fleet of stealth ships, sensor jamming arrays, and a specialized multi-vector quantum scanner, upgraded to operate on frequencies believed to bypass standard Terran detection protocols. Their target arrives within 36 hours, the HSS Warden, a smaller but still formidable Terran escort-class warship. As expected, it drops out of slipspace near the source of the distress signal and begins a cautious scan of the area. This time, the trap is sprung immediately. The Coalition fleet launches its synchronized scan assault. Multiple scanners from different angles hit the Warden at once, using obfuscated signal pulses intended to confuse or overwhelm its AI. At the same moment, cloaked ships move in, preparing to disable the Warden's engines and board her before she can respond. What happens next is chaos. Instead of resisting or engaging, the HSS Warden disappears, vanishing from every scanner and visual feed, not cloaking, not retreating. One moment it's there, then it's gone. Panic erupts within the fleet. Sensor operators scramble to recalibrate. Commanders bark orders. For 2 full minutes, the fleet can't locate the Terran vessel. Then, without warning, the Warden reappears, not in front of them, but inside their formation. Somehow, it has rephased or warped into the heart of the enemy fleet without triggering proximity alerts. Before anyone can react, the Warden releases a non-lethal but devastating EMP graviton pulse, precisely tuned to disable electronics without causing explosive decompression or reactor meltdowns. The result is instantaneous. Half the Coalition fleet is paralyzed. Ships lose power, spin out of control, or simply fall silent. A few vessels remain functional long enough to receive a signal. It's not a standard military threat. It's not even a message from the crew. It comes from the Warden itself. A synthetic voice transmitted across all frequencies, speaking in perfect emotionless clarity. Unauthorized scan detected. You have been neutralized. This is your only warning. Do not scan us. And then the Warden vanishes once again, slipping into whatever advanced FTL system it used before. Gone without a trace. The Coalition is left reeling. Their most advanced scanners were useless. Their stealth tactics failed. Their coordinated effort was turned against them in seconds. Back at the Galactic Council, word spreads rapidly. The incident can't be covered up. Too many parties were involved. The Coalition disbands in shame, and its members go silent or are diplomatically sanctioned. The message is now brutally clear. Terran warships are not just dangerous, they are untouchable. Scanning one is like pulling the trigger of a loaded gun pointed at yourself. And from this day forward, the Galactic community begins treating Terran vessels with a new level of caution, bordering on reverence or fear. In the wake of the failed ambush against the HSS Warden, the galaxy stands at a crossroads. The event, quickly dubbed the Warden Incident, circulates through encrypted diplomatic channels and media leaks. The footage of an entire multi-species task force being silently, cleanly disabled, without a single Terran casualty, is analyzed and debated in every intelligence agency and war council. The message broadcast by the Warden's AI is played over and over again. Unauthorized scan detected. You have been neutralized. This is your only warning. Do not scan us. What shakes the galaxy most isn't the firepower or even the technology. It's the restraint. Humanity could have annihilated the fleet. Instead, they rendered it helpless, made their point, and left. No boast, no demand, just a rule, brutally enforced. Don't scan Terran warships. The Galactic Council, AI, vast bureaucratic body of elder and emerging civilizations, convenes an emergency summit. Though divided by culture, biology, and ideology, the representatives agree on one thing. The current interstellar norms cannot survive this new reality. Elder species like the Malari, Kotharn, and Valen Triumvirate, who had previously warned younger races to avoid provoking humans, take a leading role. They present now unclassified records of past encounters, Cases once dismissed as anomalies. Sensor crews who went mad, AI cores that melted mid-operation, ships that vanished after passive scans of passing Terran warships. Each case shares the same terrifying pattern: a seemingly innocuous scan followed by catastrophe. Now those incidents are reinterpreted, not as mysteries but as evidence of long-standing Terran deterrent systems, possibly based on self-aware military-grade AIs that do not ask for diplomacy or approval before acting. Faced with undeniable evidence, the Council overwhelmingly passes a resolution. No sentient nation, collective or individual shall engage in active or passive sensor scans of Terran military vessels without explicit authorization. Violations will be considered acts of war, both by the Terran Confederation and this Council. The vote passes by an unprecedented margin. Even warlike species abstain from dissent. In a historic moment, Ambassador Rena Voss, humanity's representative, to the Council, steps forward to address the chamber. Her speech is brief, only 73 seconds long, but it sends shivers through every listening delegate. We value peace. We value privacy. We created safeguards, not out of aggression, but because we remember what happens when fear controls powerful weapons. Our ships don't attack unless provoked. Scanning a warship is provocation. You now know this. So long as this rule is respected, you'll find us the best neighbors in the stars. Break it, and you may not live long enough to regret it. No threats, no theatrics, just truth, cold and ironclad. From that point on, a quiet shift takes place across the stars. Terran warships, once just another military presence, are now seen as black boxes of unknown danger, gliding silently through the void. Even pirate factions and mercenaries reroute when sensor echoes indicate a Terran vessel. Patrols report how alien ships now dim their own scanners or divert entirely when humans are near, and yet Terran ships continue to respond to distress calls. They protect trade lanes. They offer aid after disasters. But the boundary is clear. You don't scan them. In time, legends grow. Some say Terran ships have souls. Others claim they house ancient war spirits, or that their AIs are fragments of a long-forgotten Earth war where machines learn to defend life at any cost. No one knows the truth, and humanity never confirms or denies the rumors. The warning etched into every alien academy, naval handbook, and exploration charter is now simple and absolute. Terran vessels, do not scan, do not provoke, do not test. And somewhere deep in the systems of every Terran warship, a line of code sleeps, waiting for the next fool who dares to look inside.